Good morning, one and all. Today we are going to discuss about pepsin role in protein digestion or role of pepsin in protein digestion. Everyone knows that already we discussed about functions of pepsin in while discussing stomach. So pepsin is a powerful enzyme which is secreted in the gastric juice that digests mainly the proteins like meat, eggs, the seeds, nuts and dairy products. Actually, pepsin is an active form, but before converting the active form of the pepsin, it will be stored in the form of zymogen, nothing but pepsinogen. It will be stored in the form of pepsinogen. But where the pepsinogen will be synthesized means pepsinogen is synthesized in the chief cells of the stomach. Chief cells are nothing but C cells are present in the stomach where the synthesis and secretion of pepsinogen will be takes place. So whatever pepsinogen is released, that will be mixed with the HCl, then it will forms an pepsin. So the inactive form of pepsinogen is converting into pepsin by the reaction with the HCl. Actually, the glands in the mucous membrane lining of the stomach make and store pepsinogen. Nothing but mainly in the mucous membrane of the stomach, the pepsinogen synthesis and storage will be takes place. So mainly when this will be happening means secretion impulses from the vagus nerve, that is the 10th cranial nerve, as well as in the hormonal secretions of the gastrin and secretin stimulates the release of pepsinogen into the stomach. So when the pepsinogen release will be takes place means when the impulses takes place from the vagus nerve, that is the 10th cranial nerve, and the hormonal secretions of gastrin and secretin, these stimulates the release of pepsinogen into the stomach where it combines with the HCl and it will form an inactive form of pepsinogen into active enzyme pepsin. Okay, and here when one more important thing is there, for the pepsin activation it requires the acidic environment where it will be there means in the stomach the pH is 1.5 to 2.5. Why? Because where the acidic pH will be maintained by the secretion of the gastric juice. So that's why the digestive power of the pepsin is greatest at the acidity of the normal gastric juice. So by the acidic nature, the action of the or digestive function of the pepsin will be more, and in the intestine the gastric acids are neutralized. Why? Because in the intestine the pH is alkaline and neutralized, and pepsin is no longer effective here. Why? Because due to the acidic environment only the pepsin digestive function is increases. Here it is neutralized, so that's why pepsin is no longer effective in the intestine. And in the digestive tract, pepsin affects only partial degradation of proteins into smaller units called peptides. Already we know the main function of the pepsin. Pepsin will convert proteins into peptides. So which then either absorbed from the intestine into the bloodstream or broken down further by the pancreatic enzymes. Everyone know the normal digestion function of in the happening in the stomach. What is happening in the stomach? Mainly the proteins are getting digested by the pepsin, which will be converting into peptides or proteases or polypeptides, which are either absorbed from the intestine into the bloodstream or broken down into further, nothing but further digestion will be takes place by the pancreatic enzymes secreted by the pancreatic juice. And small amount of pepsin passed from the stomach into the bloodstream where it breaks down some of the larger or still partially undigested fragments of protein that may have been absorbed by the small intestine. So whatever the actually the pepsin doesn't show any action in the intestine itself, but when the small amount of pepsin passes from stomach to bloodstream, nothing but it is enter from stomach to bloodstream. In the bloodstream, whatever the undigested or partially undigested or some fragments of protein will be there, it will be helpful for the digestion of those proteins, and that have been absorbed by the small intestine. See here, proteins mainly due to the presence of pepsin, it will be converting into proteases, peptones and polypeptides. So the key points here is pepsin is an active form. It is produced from the inactive form of pepsinogen. So pepsinogen, while combining with the HCl only, it will form an pepsin. Pepsin mainly helpful for digestive function in the acidic environment, and the vagus nerve as well as hormone substrates like gastrin and secretin are mainly responsible for the release of pepsinogen into the stomach. So mainly the pepsin is helpful for the digestion of proteins. These are the key points. Next we are going to discuss about axillary digestive organs. Actually, the axillary digestive organs are teeth, salivary glands, pancreas and liver. But in your syllabus they didn't ask any explanation regarding teeth, but as a introductory part we will go with that also, because it will become for any 2 marks you have to answer that. So that's why already you know the basic concept of anatomy of tooth, because in the 10th you can cover this. Again we have a small idea about this. Teeth, actually it is the main function of the teeth is mastication or chewing. Mainly the mastication or chewing. For this mastication or chewing along with the teeth, the tongue is helpful. Why how the tongue is helpful means the tongue is helpful for the movement of the food between the teeth and between our teeth. So mastication or chewing is the main function of the teeth, which will the tongue is also helpful for here. Why? Because it will move the food between our teeth. So mainly mastication or chewing takes place by the grinding process, which will convert the larger food particles into smaller fragments. Now we are going to discuss about the structure of the teeth here. See, a tooth is dividing into 3 parts for easy understanding: crown, neck and root. Crown, neck and root. See, crown, nothing but it looks like a crown shape, so that's why it will be called as crown. Actually crown is nothing but extended portion of the tooth, extended portion of the tooth above the gum, extended portion of the tooth above the gum. See, here it is gum, here extended portion above the gum, that we are extended portion of the tooth above the gum, that we are calling as crown. And next, neck. In the neck we are having this pulp. And next, coming to the root, in the root we are having complete pulp cavity as well as ligament, everything. So in the crown, what are the structures means enamel. Enamel is nothing but it is the hardest surface in substance in the body, because it is heavily mineralized with the calcium salts. So enamel is the hardest part in the body, or substance in the body, hardest part in the body. And next, coming to the dentin. See here, dentin. So this is crown, white color part, it is crown. On that crown we are having a coating, that is enamel. It is due to the calcium, mainly the heavily calcium salts are absorbed in this, so that's why enamel is the hardest part. And next, below the white part you see the blue color thing here, that we are calling as dentin. Actually dentin is an bone like material, underlines the enamel, nothing but it is present beneath the enamel, and forms the bulk of the tooth, which will forms the bulk of the tooth. And next, see the pulp cavity. See the yellow or some gold shade you are seeing. See, that is pulp cavity. So that pulp cavity is nothing but which contains mainly the blood vessels, connective tissue, nerve fibers, or all are present in this pulp cavity. So that's why it is combiningly called as pulp. It combiningly called as pulp. Why? Because which contains blood vessels, nerve supply. See, the blood vessels, nerves, everything will be present in this pulp. And next, coming to the root part. Actually root is nothing but the outer surface of the root is covered by a substance called cementum. See here, the thin thin yellow color thing will be there. This we are calling as cementum. Why? Because here the outer surface of the root is covered by a substance called cementum, which attaches to the tooth to the periodontal membrane, nothing but ligament. Nothing but this will attaches to the periodontal membrane, that is nothing but ligament. See, periodontal ligament means this light blue purple shade thing. So this is cementum. Cement will be attached to the periodontal membrane or ligamentum. And next, last one is root canal. So root canal is nothing but pulp cavity which extends into the root. Pulp cavity means, see, this is pulp cavity, already we discussed. Pulp cavity, whatever extends into the root, this is combining, this completely we are calling as root. What the root contains means the root which actually provides a root means route, root way. So root canal which provides a way for blood vessels, nerves and other pulp structures to enter the pulp cavity of the tooth. Nothing but this is the way from the root only the pulp cavity will be emerges into the tooth, where the blood supply, nerve supply will be takes place here. This is completely about the anatomy of the tooth. Now we discuss about the types of teeth present in the adults as well as children. Everyone knows that teeth actually 32 in number in adults, and next it is deciduous or in children. Mainly at the 6 months of the age, we are having a teeth called as baby teeth or deciduous teeth or milk teeth, which start eruption of the 6th month and has a full set of 20 teeth up to 2 years. So 6 months to 2 years we are having this baby teeth or milk teeth, which is having the eruption will be started at 6th month, but the full set will be formed, that is full set here consisting 20 teeth, it is completed at 2 years. And next coming to the permanent teeth. Permanent teeth is nothing but second set of teeth or deeper permanent teeth which enlarge and develop. The roots of the milk teeth are reabsorbed between the age of 6 to 12 years. They loosen and fall out. So the permanent teeth will be formed from the roots of the milk teeth only, but it will be formed between the age of 6 to 12 years. Actually these are loosened in between the 6 to 12 years and fall out, and then the permanent teeth will then the teeth will be developed here. Next, incisors. Incisors, actually types of teeth are incisors, canines, premolars and molars. Incisors means it is mainly the function is cutting purpose, nothing but grinding, you think cutting purpose. Here 18 number incisors. Actually where it is present mean 2 on each side of the upper and lower jaw. 2 on each side of the upper and lower jaw. So left side upper jaw 2, right side upper jaw 2, lower jaw right side 2, left side 2. So total it is 18 number. And next, canines. Canines main function is for tearing and piercing. These are fang shape, nothing but long pointed teeth. It is long pointed teeth. Generally it is also called as dog teeth because it looks like that dog teeth only, the shape. These are 4 in number. And next coming to the premolars and molars. Actually premolars are 18 number. These main where it is present means it is present between canines and molars. It is present between canines and molars. Here the main function is grinding here. And next coming to the molars. Molars have broad crown and crowns with round cups and best suited for grinding. Molars are mainly best suited for grindings. These are 12 in number in adults, mainly 6 on upper and lower jaw. 6 up on upper jaw and 6 on lower jaw, so total 12 in number. So children have 8 primary molars, but in adults it is having 12. The last molars to erupt as in wisdom teeth. Everyone knows that wisdom teeth was also called as third molars, which usually grown or coming out at the age of between 7 to 21 years. It will be coming out. It will be actually painful to some people while eruption of these wisdom teeth. Okay, so see, this is total number of the teeth: 8 incisors, 4 canines, 8 premolars and 12 molars. Totally 32 teeth is present in the adults. Thank you for listening.